Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's 6:15 a.m., June 23rd. My name is Amal, and I'm going to do your morning Bitcoin and crypto analysis. So prices of Bitcoin currently at 96.04. We had a decent spike up yesterday in the price action, went all the way almost to $9,800, but now we're down almost about $200. Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit more. So for that, I have this chart to illustrate exactly how we've kind of been moving in and out of particular patterns. So we had this descending parallel channel right here, okay? And within this descending parallel channel, as you can see, we finally broke out of that channel with pretty decent volume, or rather increasing volume, not decent volume. Now that's a positive sign. However, within that, I also mentioned that we were creating this larger wedge. Okay, if we draw this wedge kind of like that, as you can see, we pretty much tried to pierce past the wedge, but got strongly rejected. More often than not, in my experience, when you can't break up past this wedge strongly with high volume, and you get a little fake out like this, you have a deviation to the upside like this, okay, like that, and then you come kind of crashing down and start breaking down even past the bottom ascending trend line. Let's see if I can show you guys an example. So this was what happened in the ES, which is the S&P 500 E-mini futures. You can see right here, this was the break above the wedge right there, right? So this was the same thing, a rising wedge that was being created. We broke up above it, couldn't hold, started to break down, and then we got torpedoed. Okay, so kind of doing something similar right there. Again, it's not necessary that we have to break down, but this is the current candle that we're on, 4 hour. It's a pretty bearish candle. However, we are bouncing right off the previous area that was resistance as support right there. So if you are considering a long, all right, this is probably the best area to go long. Again, I am not long. I don't see any reason to be long. But if you are looking for getting into longs and you think that from here, and you think from here prices are going to shoot up higher, this is probably your best risk to reward trade, because if you're getting into a long, you enter right here at 96.11. Your stop is just below this wick. So the low of this wick is 95.89. So your stop is just about 20, 30 bucks away. And you could target at least 96, 97, or maybe the high of this wick, or maybe higher. Okay. But I personally think this could be potentially the top, because, here's an easy way to sort of measure out maybe some wave counts, right? Some Elliott wave counts. So let's turn off the volume, and we'll throw on the pivots right here real quick. The pivots. Okay, so we bounced off, first of all, obviously, just yesterday, we bounced off the pivot, went through the R1. Typically, when you go through the R1 like that and you close above it, you're probably going to get to the R2, which is around 99.35. So that's what I'm saying. If we can stay above this R1 pivot, I probably figure we go up higher. Okay, but for now, let's just look at the regular counts that we have at play. So if we're looking at this as a 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe this could be a 4 right there, and this is a 5, okay? You could make this right here an A, a B, and a C, okay? So that means we should have the 5-wave continuation back down, all right? This is the one way you can look at the count. There are many other ways that you could look at the count. So for example, internally, okay, within that ABC actually that we just saw, right? Remember, so this was your A, B, C. Within the ABC, you could definitely make, let's just say, go to the 1 hour time frame, right? Within the ABC, you could make out a, let's see here, so maybe a 1. That doesn't work out. Oh, so within your C wave structure, actually, you can make out 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5. This could be also a 3. I think this is more likely to be a 3, but that's how I'd play it, okay? And so then on the way down, right, then you'd have another maybe A, B, C. So this could be the end of the C. Again, this would be your bullish count if you're going to push up, all right? I think it might be a little bit easier to count this as a B, C, and then now we might have we might have our 5-wave structure down. But again, that remains to be seen because for all I know, we could be in a larger count where this could be your 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 would push up to R2. Okay. Again, Elliott wave is very subjective. It's really how you look at the charts and lay out your counts. You can't willy-nilly just draw, 1 through 5 or A through C. You have to actually understand what you're doing. But in the case that I just showed you, the count does match. So it's possible that this is the top of the 5th, this is the top of the C wave, and then we might have maybe a 5-wave move down. Again, for that to happen, we have to break key levels on the way down, right? So first thing, we have to start closing below the R1 and heading towards the bottom of this ascending wedge trend line. And if that breaks, then you could get to the pivot, which is around 92.77. If that breaks, then we can get to the S1 or S2. One thing I can tell you is if we break the pivot right here, I'd probably say more than likely we're going to head towards the S2. Okay, I don't see us kind of putting in, a higher low structure at this S1 because this would be your previous low, this would be a higher low. So I just don't really see it yet. Let me see here. Oh, so yesterday I was talking about, some of the news that came out. Supposedly White House trade advisor Peter Navarro, he had said that the trade deal with China is over. And he linked the breakdown in part to Washington's anger over Beijing's not sounding the alarm on the coronavirus outbreak. And yesterday we saw the ES, completely get torched by 50 points. I think then after that, he basically said that, oh no, that doesn't sound like real news or whatever. Even though I think he actually went on Fox and said it, but in either case, it's kind of ridiculous that we went through that whole debacle because, yesterday, this is what happened right near that. Actually, wait a second. This is what happened right here near that news time, that news cycle. You could see the big drop. And then supposedly it was confirmed that that was a lie, or rather, he didn't say that. And then boom, prices took off. So the reason I wanted to mention that is because, I put this up on Twitter that, if true, there's definitely going to be a bloodbath coming in the next few days or weeks, but still looking for today to confirm, right? Oftentimes these off-hour news cycles are noise. So that seems like noise. And, even Bitcoin actually got pushed down yesterday. But the interesting thing that I found, which was, the reason for putting out news like right around this particular area is, majority of the assets, especially in the stock market, in crypto, they're all near resistance, okay? So they're all looking for something to either break through the resistance, which would be significant positive news. And so far, we've had pretty positive news about, the Fed supporting the market. Most assets are doing pretty well. People are talking about economic recovery. However, what scares me particularly about Bitcoin is that it's spent about a good month and a half here and it has yet to break through versus the S&P 500 has actually kept climbing higher and higher, okay? So this is why I personally think that Bitcoin is in a little bit of trouble right here because, other assets, like, remember, these are just indexes, okay? Other assets, like, for example, Apple, okay? We've hit new all-time highs. Same thing with Amazon, right? These are your great companies that, again, are worth their value, right? And they continue to put in new all-time highs. Now, it should scare you that Bitcoin is not doing that, because in an environment where money is so cheap, because remember, the Fed is providing this liquidity, or corporations can borrow money at such a cheap and inexpensive price, it should scare you that Bitcoin is not pushing up higher and higher. So, my concern for Bitcoin is, even from a technical standpoint, right? So let's go to this chart right here. So I've often talked about GBTC being the one chart that I like to pay attention to, particularly the 34 EMA right there. And we'll go over the Bollinger Band. So if you look at the 34 EMA, right, this is from 2018. I mean, again, you can see once you start breaking under the 34 EMA, it's a quick slide down. Over here, again, break below, quick slide down. Once you start cleanly breaking below, you start selling off, for multiple months. Once you break and stay above that area right there, you can see swift move up once you stay above that 34 EMA. Again, going into 2019, same thing, right? Support all the way. Once you start breaking below the 34 EMA right there, boom, start breaking down again right there, boom, start breaking down. So here we are in, June 2020, right? We've broken below the 34 EMA. And if we stay below this 34 EMA on the GBTC chart, I mean, I would probably expect this kind of movement down, or this kind of movement down, okay? Same thing with the Bollinger Bands, right? So let's turn off the 34 EMA and look at the Bollinger Bands. It's almost similar, right? You can see price tagged the middle Bollinger Band right there and got rejected, okay? Same thing over here, right? Price, once it starts breaking below the middle Bollinger Band, it sells off for multiple months. Over here, sells off for multiple months. These are simple strategies that you can utilize, whether it's Bollinger Bands or 34 EMA, on charts like GBTC, to understand when the momentum is shifting. And in my opinion, I've been talking about this for weeks, that this whole thing to me had looked like distribution. And so it makes sense that if the momentum is shifting now, we should start seeing a further sell-off go into the market. At present moment, I had written down, let me see here. So the GBTC chart right now is trading at 1057, which is a premium as per the 909 Bitcoin holdings per share. So we're trading about maybe 15, 20% premium right now, right? So that means that if Bitcoin, if GBTC starts coming down and reducing that premium, we should get towards at least this first line of support, which is around 9.98. That's where we bounce from here back up. 9.98, as per GBTC prices, is equivalent to about $8,600 to $8,700 in Bitcoin spot prices. Okay, so again, that brings us down towards this, at least this S1, or between this S1 and S2, right? So that's what I said, right? If you start breaking from this wedge and you take out this pivot, that takes us way the heck down here, at least, which is, again, at the bottom of this range, right? I've also stated that if you look at it from the standpoint of VPVRs, which is the volume projected visible range right there, you can see the support right there is holding up price. Once you start breaking through that support, your next high volume support is way the heck down here around 88.50, which makes sense. Like I said, GBTC starts breaking towards 9.98. That definitely takes Bitcoin at least towards these levels. Okay. Now, if say GBTC breaks down further, well, then Bitcoin is going to break down a lot further, and the bigger high volume node and bigger previous support is way the heck down here around $7,500, $7,600. All right. So if this is a larger, and in terms of Elliott waves, right, we could look at it that, like, let's just say 1, 2, then we can have maybe a 3 way the heck down here. 4 comes up right around the bottom of that high volume node, and then the 5 takes us way the heck down here around this area. So again, the reason why you draw charts, why you have technical analysis, why you look at different assets, especially derivatives, or you look at, these ETFs like GBTC, so you can understand what the bigger picture and consensus picture is playing out on all these assets. And so for me, it becomes a little bit more clear that GBTC is showing signs of weakness. And, I think I talked about CME chart as well, right? I think I spoke about it yesterday, a couple of days ago. You can see we're trying to stay above this middle Bollinger Band right here, even on CME. And for the most part, if you start breaking through this middle Bollinger Band and you start taking out this low right here, 89.15, it's a pretty quick slide all the way down here, at least towards $8,200. Maybe even this previous consolidation phase around 7.6 or 7.7. So in my opinion, there are a lot of things to be concerned about when it comes to where Bitcoin's price action is. For the most part, I'm not really as bullish or as positive as other people are. I know everyone got excited about this candle yesterday, but again, we've done that previously, right? I mean, we poked past this previous high right here and then had a strong sell-off. Again, over here, we poked past these highs right here, again, and a strong sell-off. So don't be surprised by the end of today or tomorrow or something, we have another strong sell-off coming to Bitcoin. And today's the 23rd. By the 26th, we have a huge amount of options expiring. So we could have crazy volatility, any time between today and the 26th. And these are derivate options. I think CME options are, also 26th, or maybe it's the end of the month. I can't quite remember. But in either case, I expect volatility. All right. Let me see here. So I told our members, if Link can sort of break above this high, you should start taking profit around the high of this range. Again, not investment advice, but this is the best technical setup for you to understand that this is the high of the range up here. And if you're in a Link trade right now, you should be taking profit. You should not be blindly looking at this market to poke through, all right? Because there's nothing indicating that we have to break through, right? From here, we could get a strong rejection. It's just something to be careful about in terms of, understanding and take profits, okay? And again, folks, if you do like our content and enjoy, leave us a comment, leave us a thumbs up, and let us know your thoughts. If you are interested in the 2-day trial, we have a trial running right now, 2 days free in the Advantage community. You get all access to all these locked channels, my leverage trading positions, the crypto chat, the equities chats right here, the equities updates right here, what trades myself or Fastler are taking in the US markets, and then the Forex trades and updates, and obviously the options side as well, okay? So if you come in here and you write trial, I can give you 2-day free access if y'all want to check it out. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Hope y'all enjoy the content. Again, follow me on Twitter if you want to get good analysis of my thoughts. Here's another thing, which is interesting, right? We talked about, PayPal and Venmo rolling out crypto buying and selling. Again, this news was largely, in my opinion, BS, because I didn't hear anything from PayPal or Venmo. I have both apps. I have notifications enabled on both. So the fact that people in the crypto space keep doing garbage like this just tells me how nascent it is and how you literally require fake positive news to, push up the market a couple $100. I think it's scary, and I think it speaks on behalf of the weakness of the market. Okay. Let me see here. Here's another interesting thing. Okay. So you guys know that there's this, let's see, this website right here where you can check out the inflows of Bitcoin. Okay. So meaning if there's large amounts of Bitcoin being moved onto the exchange or onto all exchanges, what exactly are the implications of that? and how does that help us identify, price, right? Or identify movements in the price. Let me see if this thing actually pulls up though. Let's see, metric overview. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's working, but I had posted a screenshot of it just yesterday. Okay, so here's the that same chart that I was going to show you. So yesterday morning, these spikes right here. So this was 4,000 Bitcoin. This was 2,000. This was 2,300, and all these were like 5, 6, 700 Bitcoin. Okay, so you can see as price moved up towards this 9,600, 9,700 level, you had these Bitcoin right here loaded onto the exchanges to possibly sell as this rally kind of pushes up. And again, you don't load up this Bitcoin onto exchanges to do anything else really other than sell. Okay, and this is data done on CQ.live, and they've talked about, more often than not, when you start seeing big piles of Bitcoin being brought to exchanges, it's more often to sell the Bitcoin. So in this movement up that you see right here yesterday, okay, right here yesterday, this was, all loaded up with Bitcoin on exchanges, and it's quite possible that bigger players are trying to sell their Bitcoin. Again, this is just the simple indication of looking at that data. All right, and I've spoken to the founder, Ki Young Ju, and he also told me that more often than not, when you start seeing big piles of Bitcoin being loaded onto exchanges, it's time to start being careful, or it's time to anticipate potential sell-off. Okay, so these are all the different data points that we look at. Aside from just the basic technicals of how this whole thing has been looking like distribution for a good month and a half, there are other data points to support that. All right. Excuse me. Let's go to the, let's see here, 4-hour chart right here. Okay. So we just tapped into the 4-hour overbought territory, as you can see, as per the RSI and even the Stochh RSI. If we start heading down from here, who knows, on the 4-hour time frame, we could catch support way down here around 94.30s. Okay, that's the middle Bollinger Band right there. Sorry about that, my voice is giving out right now. So I think that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the content. And again, if you want to join, there's a 2-day free trial that we have, right? Just hop in, write down trial in here, and I'll give you access. All right. Y'all take care. Be safe. Keep your stops tight. Cheers.